Martin Bamford. We all know Martin.
Shall I take it away? Very briefly, for context, for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm 20 years as a financial planner, marketing specialist, and then 3 years ago set up a marketing agency, Bamford Media. What I'd like to run through in the next 10 minutes is, I'm going to bring it over to this screen if I can actually, because otherwise I'm going to be looking at, let's leave that, is 5 of the concepts that really underpin all of the marketing advice that we give to our customers. So I'm going to rattle through this. One of these points out of the 5 is my 45-minute keynote speech I usually give, so I'm going to have to go very quickly, but obviously very happy to take questions or speak afterwards of anyone. So number 1, I think now more than ever it's so important to be different, and this concept of being a purple cow comes from a book by a chap called Seth Godin, who's a fantastic marketing specialist. And his point is, if you're driving down a road and you see a field full of black and white Frisian cows, it's nothing special, it's nothing to write home about. But if in that field there's a purple cow, all of a sudden you really take notice. That's something remarkable. It's something you get to tell your friends and family about. So in an increasingly crowded marketplace, when it's hard to come by competition and points of difference to compete. So I think all of us now are competing with some of the really big boys and girls. So we're competing with Amazon when it comes to their range of products and their speed of delivery. We're competing with Apple when it comes to their design characteristics and their packaging, which is always wonderful. We're competing with Tesla when it comes to technological innovation, when it comes to just such a big mission, hairy, audacious goal that they've got in terms of a mission for their business. So instead of trying to be better, which I think can sometimes be very hard, we need to be different and really demonstrate our points of difference. See how you can be a purple cow. I know everyone on this call and everyone we speak to has some different quirks about them. And going back to something Mel said earlier about authenticity in your marketing, I think be as authentic as you can. Warts and all is actually so much better than trying to present a polished version of yourself. So if you can find those quirky, individual, unique points about yourself and really highlight them, that's what will make you stand out from the crowd and be a purple cow. The second one, and this goes back to a point that Mel and John both made about blogging and regularly updating your content, is very often when we speak to our clients, they say, well, I get the concept of writing a blog or hosting a podcast or recording videos, but what on earth should I talk about? And this concept, they ask you answer, comes from a chap in America called Marcus Sheridan. Marcus ran a swimming pool company in Florida. And at the height of the global financial crisis, so back in 2008 or so, his business virtually went under. People stopped buying swimming pools because the housing market collapsed and there was real issues. And he developed this approach called They Ask, You Answer, which was all about listening to the questions he was getting from customers and then producing content based on answers to those questions. So ask your whole team, if you work with a team of people, what are people asking you? What questions do they have? And this is about being helpful. This is about demonstrating authority, so you know your subject, particularly in the current climate where we're not able to get face-to-face with people as easily. It's about building rapport and trust. Because if you're the go-to person, you're giving freely answers to these important questions they have, they will treat you then as the preferred source to go and buy somewhere. So you may not have the range and delivery speed of Amazon, but if you are the absolute expert, in this case when it came to above ground swimming pools, because you tell people about how the filtration systems work, how you have to put chemicals in the right places to get them, how to save money cleaning them, etc. All of your content then drives people to trust and know and like you and then therefore buy from you. So answer the burning questions by producing different forms of content. John just touched on social proof, which I think is now more important than ever. When we can look at somebody in the whites of their eyes and get face to face with them, we're very good at humans at making snap judgments about whether we trust somebody or not. It's harder. It's harder when we're distant, physically distant, when we're doing stuff virtually, even via Zoom. So I think building social proof is so important. Google My Business, as John said, is an absolute must. And as well as claiming your Google My Business listing, so that's a case of going on there. They send you a postcard with a verification code, which is how you prove that you've got the physical location you're claiming. Build the social proof by getting customers to write testimonials on there. And when you get testimonials, video, as John said, is the preference there. Nobody believes it when they read your website and it says Mrs. S from Surrey said. Yeah, Mrs. S doesn't exist, probably doesn't exist. She might do, I'm probably being unfair, but if you're going to do a written testimonial somewhere, make sure it's a full name, make sure it's a photo of the client or customer, give it some credibility. But video really is the leader here. If you can get a client or a customer to go on their iPad or their iPhone, smartphone, just record a minute of video, and then you can use it on your website, you can use it on your social media channels. But building social proof is just so important in this new virtual world we've got. Number 4, and this is the one I do spend a lot of time on, there are 6 what we call weapons of influence. And this comes back from a book by a chap called Professor Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence, which I highly recommend everyone gets hold of. The one I just talked about, social proof, is one of those 6, but the other 5, which are important to think about as well, this is all really about understanding why we make decisions. And if you can get inside the head of your customer, your target customer, and understand what makes it easier for them to make a decision, to buy your services, to buy your goods, that's probably 80-90% of the battle won. So the 5 to think about: one is likability. So we tend to do business with people who have similar characteristics to us. If we like them, if we sort of see a bit of their personality, going back to what Mel said earlier about, let a bit of yourself out into your blog, make it a bit personal sometimes. So people buy people they like, and you often hear that saying, people buy people. So that's the approach there, likability. Second one is reciprocity. And if you've ever wondered why, when you get your bill in a restaurant, they put a mint on the platter when it comes out of a bill, if you're in that sort of restaurant, it's because when we give somebody something small, a gift, a favor, they are more likely to give us something in return. So the reason waiters and waitresses give us mints is because they want a tip. And there's been all sorts of studies done about this. If they give 1 mint, they get a certain uplift on average in tip. 2, they get a certain uplift. If they give you 1 and then they go away and then they come back a few minutes later or a minute later and say, actually, for you nice people, here's some extra ones, the uplift in tips is just astronomical. I think it was something like 64% on average. So there's a psychological reason for this. Third one is scarcity. This is a sort of buy now while stocks last, or limited supply, limited edition. This is why human brains are wired in a certain way. When we see a limited amount of something, we rush for it. There's only 2 items left in stock, we go for it. And this is why increasingly now on websites, it will say, and Amazon do this very well, it will save a number of items left in stock. It's probably complete nonsense in most cases. There isn't just 8 copies of a book left. But if you see there is, and also lots of websites now are saying, well, how many people are looking at a holiday listing? That's a good one we see. And it's a psychological trick. It's not real in many cases, but we rush towards limited edition things. Number 4 is authority. Sorry, number 5 is authority. Four is authority. Authority, we tend to look for credible experts. So people who know their stuff, who have the certificates behind them, who have the letters after their names. And we establish credibility in lots of different ways, but we encourage our clients, our marketing clients, to establish their credibility by getting mentioned in the press. That's sort of the borrowed authority. If a journalist believes you're a subject matter expert and your name is printed in the Telegraph or the Times, or even locally in the Surrey Advertiser or Cranleigh magazine, then people see that and believe you're a subject matter expert. So that's really important. And then the 5th one is consistency. So it's called consistency. It's not really about consistency, this one. Cialdini calls it consistency. But what it really means is, if we can get someone to make a small commitment and then increase that commitment over time, they're more likely to make the bigger commitment and purchase your full value product. So to explain what that means, we often see people using a marketing funnel. So they'll offer you something free, effectively, at the top of the funnel. So it might be a white paper or access to a video course. I say free because you have to put your email address in to get it. And then once you've given your email address in return for access to something free, low value, they'll offer you something the next stage up or next stage down in the funnel. So that might be a webinar, it might be a 30-minute consultation, it might be a personalized report, and there might be a nominal charge associated with that, £100, £200. And basically they keep sort of getting these little steps of commitment from you, and then the main product becomes at the end. So what I explain to our clients, the approach used to be, you find a prospect and you go in for the kill and try and sell your £3,000, £10,000 products. what it has to be these days is these baby steps. So building trust and rapport, giving away something free, something valuable, and then over time building them up to the main service. And then number 6, I said earlier, was social proof. So getting your testimonials and things. And then my 5th one, it's just this view that we're all publishers now, and this goes back to Mel and John's points about blogs and producing content. My image hasn't loaded, which is embarrassing. It was a good graphic on the right hand side. Really now, more than ever, we have to, all types of businesses have to behave like publishers and produce as much content as possible, answering questions, highlighting features and benefits of the different products and services we offer, showing authenticity, so sort of showing behind the scenes, documenting processes and what happens in our businesses, showing the client transformations that take place by when people work with us. So within Informed Choice, my financial planning business, we now publish a twice yearly printed client magazine, which we publish in-house. And it contains local stories, so sponsorships and events we get involved with. It always has a cover star, which is a client. So we make our clients the cover star. We devote 6 pages to telling their story. And of course, it's indirectly telling our story, because it's about how they found us, how they worked with us, the benefits they've had from working with us. And it's printed. And I think that's really important in this modern world as well. We move so much to digital online marketing that actually, I'm a great believer that when people are moving in one direction, you should always look to exploit the gaps left behind. So zig where others zag. So if everyone's moved to digital and they're paying for Facebook ads and Google ads, do a print run, do some mail drops, go old school, because this is where the attention is now. It's so hard to get attention online on social media. People's attention span is so limited that if you can get something in the post to a client and it's well produced on nice paper and it's nicely designed, lovely photos, that's going to grab their attention, and they're going to pass it on to friends and family. So as I said, that was quick. I didn't keep an eye on the time, but I hope that was within 10 minutes. To recap, 5 factors to consider. So firstly, stand out from the competition. Don't try and be better. Be as good, of course, but don't try and be better necessarily, but be different. Take that they ask you answer approach. So I keep a notebook where I note down every single question I hear from customers, from professional contacts, from people I'm speaking to about any aspects of what I do. And then I produce content to answer those questions, blog posts, podcasts, videos. Build your social proof. Please try and get video testimonials from your clients. I know clients and customers feel massively uncomfortable on video, on camera, but it's just chatting. It's just like doing a selfie. It's chatting to a phone. So people should be able to do that. I think try and understand why your customers make the decisions they do, and make them as easy to make as possible. So understanding those weapons of influence. So get a copy of Influence by Cialdini, and consider yourself as a publisher. I think businesses have had to have changed in recent years. We're not like we used to be, and the change we've seen in the last 6 months is really, in my mind, just accelerated that change that was happening already. Working remotely and flexibly, doing video calls, all the other changes that have happened in the world, maybe a more environmental approach to things, because we're not jumping in the car and seeing clients all over the country anymore and commuting into town. Consider what your role in the world is now. And I think for increasingly that means you're a publisher as well as whatever else you do. If you're an accountant, a solicitor, a estate agent, you have to consider publishing as part of that deal. So I hope that's been useful. Very happy to take questions, and I'll hand back over to Rosemary.
Thank you very much. That was really 3 varied, some the same, but it's really adding to each other's slides. One of the things I would just like to say about being a publisher, I think that people who are very chatty naturally, like me, are happy chatting online. But my brother hates chatting, and he doesn't chat online, and I struggle with him to do stuff online. It's a real drawback. How do you make that leap for those people that they're just not naturally chatty?
I mean, John said something earlier, which is the client of his who hates having an online contact form. And I hear this all the time. People say, well, I don't want to have a Facebook page and run Facebook ads because I hate Facebook. I don't use it myself personally. But I think all of us need to think about where our customers are, how they're interacting. And I mean, in terms of being a publisher, and if you don't find it comes naturally, I think the first thing is to pick the one that comes most naturally. Some of us enjoy writing, some of us enjoy chatting, some of us enjoy being almost an actor or an actress on camera. And we're not, no one is good at all three normally. It takes practice, it takes work, and it takes getting out of your comfort zone. But pick one to start off with, focus your energy and attention on that, and then, you know, over time you develop. Like I started with blogging. I moved into podcasting probably 10 years later. So the audio side of things, it's only in the last couple of years I felt comfortable on camera and, you know, doing video content. So it takes a while.
Anything from Mel and John on that? So you're happy with that response?
Yeah, I think it is the more often you do it, the easier it gets, and it's just starting somewhere. And one of the good places to start, if Instagram is somewhere that is suitable and your audience are at, things like Instagram stories are only there for 24 hours and then they're gone. So it's a really it's quite a nice space to start doing things, knowing that in 24 hours it'll be gone. You can forget you ever did it. So yeah, I think it's just that, like Martin said, it's taking those steps and start with what's most comfortable, but also accepting it might feel a bit uncomfortable. But if it works, I think that's where people say, actually, I can overcome that because I can see that people are engaging or that we're getting results from it. And, you know, it then changes people's mindsets when they see the effect it can have.
I have a question. Can we ask
Yes,
questions?
Viviana, carry on.
How do I check which is the best way to communicate with my customers? Because I do Instagram, I do a bit of Facebook, which are linked together. So if I put something on Instagram, it links to my Facebook. I don't have a website yet, so I'm still working on that. But how can I know if it's better to do Instagram or Facebook? I have the Google My Business, but I don't know if I have many views on that. I do have an emailing list, which I send. I mean, during lockdown and things, I started doing food on a Friday. So I have a mailing list, which I think that's the one that worked for me best during lockdown. But how can I check which one is best, really? If somebody can answer.
Well, let's start with John on that one.
No, I'd probably pass that to Mel and Clara, to be honest. only because I think that because they're involved in social media far more than I am, and they'd probably be, and Martin, to be fair. So yeah, I'm not passing the buck, but I am.
Okay, fair enough. And anyway, John is bound to say websites. I must admit, I used John to do my websites, and I've been extremely satisfied. But Martin,
I think, Vivi, the first thing I'd say is just ask the existing customers. So you've got your email list, you know, send an email out. Which is your favorite social media platform? Where would you like to see me? There's lots of misconceptions about the audience and the demographics on these different platforms. You know, everyone says, well, I'm not going to go on Facebook because Facebook's for young people, etc. Yeah, the fastest growing age population on Facebook are the over 60s. It's an old platform. It was a young platform when it started because it was rolled out in universities in America, colleges in America. But actually, Facebook for me is the go-to place for lots of things, simply because it's so easy to reach your target audience. And once you can combine it with your website, so you can add the Facebook pixel to your website, the amount of data you can see of who's clicking on your ads and who's clicking on your content, and then you can find. But what I would start with Facebook, throw $10, $20, $30 behind a boosted post. Let them do the hard work.
You have to put money to do.
You can do a mix of organic content and paid content. But actually, what happened during the lockdown was because lots of the big corporations removed their advertising from Facebook, the cost of Facebook advertising has fallen through the floor. So you can reach your audience, thousands of people, for pennies. It's dirt cheap, and then you can let Facebook learn who it's reaching, who's most likely to engage with your content, and then really focus on that audience. So what I like to do is run videos on Facebook, boost them, and then I run a second ad set against the people who have watched at least 30 seconds of my video, because I know they're serious and they're interested and engaged. But don't discount the others. Mel mentioned Instagram, which I think is a fantastic platform. Twitter I'm falling out of love with because it's just full of trolls and hateful people. If you've got a younger target client base, TikTok is growing incredibly quickly. And you don't have to go on there and do silly dances. You can go on there and actually share proper wisdom and do. But yeah, start with Facebook, I'd say. I'm not sure Mel or Clara wants to add to that.
Before I ask Mel, but Mel can answer this as well. Stephen's asking, is Facebook good for the Cranleigh market, particularly because oldies have suddenly discovered it? Mel?
I was going to say, it depends who you're trying to target and what you're trying to do. I don't think it's, you know, is it good for Cranleigh? It could be, but it depends who you're trying to target. But I think what Martin was saying, Viviana, going back to your question, is definitely ask people and see, is there a link between when you look at your email list, can you see if those people follow you? And if so, do they follow you on Facebook or do they follow you on Instagram? But even just the basic analytics on Instagram and on Facebook, you can see, you know, where people are, how old they are, what time of day is best to post. There's a lot of information in there that you can find out, as long as you've got both your Facebook and your Instagram set as business accounts.
Yeah, I don't have them as business accounts. That's why.
Which you can
What does
do.
that mean? What does that mean exactly?
So you get different data than if it's just a personal account. So it means you really, and it's free. You don't pay to change them to business accounts, but it just gives you more options of how you can how you can target people, but also what information you can put on there, and it changes the fact you can see more analytics. So it's definitely worth doing. If they're not optimized as business accounts, do that first.
Okay, and how do I find out how to do that, to change from normal? Is there a way?
Shall we send you, Viviana, we'll send you some links.
Okay.
Would that be helpful? Send you
Yeah.
the links of how to do it, because then you can see the screenshots of what to do.
Just add something to that in terms of the reason I gave it a swerve was because I think in terms of the best platform, then Mel, Clara and Martin are better positioned to answer that. Because I see, and I would say this, wouldn't I? But I see a website as a no-brainer, but it's different. You know, a website isn't necessarily a marketing tool. That's SEO. The SEO is what gets you found on Google. Now, decent websites should do that to a large degree, but the real job of a website is to validate your business. And we've covered that covered that quite a bit. So that's what a website's for. So that's why social media will often direct you to your website. And answering a question that Rosemary put early on, and again, I'm biased with this answer, but where should your blog be? Should it be standalone or should it be on your website? For me, it should be on your website because it's driving, and I'm getting nods elsewhere, so that's good to say it, because it's driving people to your website. Your website is your validation, and then from your blog, you can move people around your website if that's what you want them to do, or a call to action from your website, contact, book now, whatever it is. So a website really is your validation tool, which the three of us have sort of covered in with different aspects really.
Can I quickly add to that, Rosemary, if that's all right? And to agree with everything John just said there, and we always say to our clients, the website's the hub of your online activity. The social media is almost the spokes off the side. Increasingly, though, when we talk about visibility on social media platforms, it's harder to share content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn that tries to bring people away from those platforms to your website. So we always now talk to our clients about posting natively on each platform. So what I mean by that good example is if you uploaded a video to YouTube, don't share a link to YouTube on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, because the goal in life for all of these platforms is to keep their users on the platform for as long as possible. If on Facebook you try and take them away to a different platform, YouTube or anywhere else, they're less likely to show your audience that content. So tell the whole story on the platform. Don't try and bring people off. People will find your website. If you don't put the link on the content, they'll still go and find it if they want to. As John said with SEO, they should be able to find it by searching for your company name or, solicitor in Cranleigh or whatever else they're looking for. But you're going to get much better visibility on each platform if you share the entire piece there, the whole video, the whole article, the whole blog post, rather than just a teaser and then say, click here for more, come back to my website, because actually Facebook and Instagram have more or less stopped showing people content where it's trying to bring them off platform now.
And if you are totally agree with that, if you are going to put a link, put it in the comments. Don't put it in the main body of the website. So just put link below, little emoji, and then a link in the comments. Absolutely. Don't put it in the body of the post. Yeah. For exactly the reasons Martin said.
Okay.
So I think the message we're getting there is that the website is probably number 6 of those. Can't remember what you called them, but the social proof, the proof you can be trusted, you're validated, you're real. Because of course with my B&B, it made a big difference getting a website, because suddenly people realized I wasn't just Airbnb, a crappy little place, and it gives you, even though many don't book on the website, but they use it to phone me up. They said, I'm on your website. It's really weird. So look at the website, then they phone you up.
Yeah, but that's going back to what we were saying before, that everybody has a preference of how to get in contact with you. So that's why that should be there. And your the website beautifully portrays your business, because you've got such fantastic photos, and you go on there and you cannot fall. And obviously I'm biased because we create the website, but actually, but it's not about the website. It's about your beautiful B&B. You can't go on there and not think, wow, that is an impressive place to
but we could do Viviana's food. She could be getting all these photos of food. She could have one of Martin's videos of her talking about why she's chosen Greek this week or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, have you been on the community radio, Viviana?
Yes.
You have, yeah.
Yeah, episode 11, I think it was.
Sounds right, yep.
Oh no, 9.
There's a couple of questions I want to take. Right, done that one. Stephen's one about streaming in the arts. For a performance streamed online, do you recommend donations, subscription, or pay-per-view?
Play up front.
Yeah, up front. But not
I think there's always you should attach value to everything you do, and it's too easy to see because it's online, it's streamed, that's free. I charge an admission fee for it, and there's an argument about whether that's the same as the value's the same as a physical experience or not. But I think people are desperate for this experience. I think I'll also say, Stephen, that if you can make it a shared experience as much as possible, so simply streaming it to individuals, it doesn't have the same connection. The reason people love to come to the Arts Centre is it's not just watching the wonderful performance; it's the who you chat to in the bar before and during, etc., and who sat next to you or behind you, etc. So I think if you can recreate some element of that community within the streaming session, have a chat going on, or at least before have an online discussion.
At the moment we can't open, so we can't chat to people. So we're having to change the business model altogether from live in the way we all knew it to something that it is live, but is through the medium of streaming. And it's just a different experience. Obviously, we've never done it before. But during lockdown, every Tom, Dick and Harry has got his mobile phone out and is taking a sort of selfie of him playing the piano. The quality of which is often quite poor. And so there's a related question to that, which is maybe for the techies, which is it worth investing in very good quality performance? So that's sound, it's lighting, it's camera, or is just doing it with your iPad good enough?
No, I absolutely invest in the quality. And I've already shared with Paul, with the links to the kit that I recommend for him. I mean, you look at the success you had with your live casts over the last few years. People appreciate that experience. It doesn't take much to do it. A couple of 4K cameras, so you've got a couple of different camera angles, a switching box so you can move between them, and you've got the audio kit already. So if they can be on stage being filmed and recorded and streamed from there, but without an audience, And then, yeah, I would also suggest use Facebook events. So for each one, have a Facebook event. That's how you can create your community. You know, Mike and Sally are on the call from Cromwell's. Yeah, they could team up with you and deliver or have a collection of a cream tea or something to accompany one of them. So there's a shared experience. Everyone's going through the same thing at the same time. And that's what we almost lose a bit, I think, with TV on demand, because there's no more of all of us see the same program at 8 o'clock on a Friday night. We watch it when we like. We binge watch an entire series. If you can get back a bit to that, it's at this time for a defined period of time, and we're sharing the experience, I think that people would really resonate with that.
Okay,
Just a couple of examples that I've seen recently of that. So the pub that I mentioned, it's just over there. I think when I'm done here, I'm going to have to go over. I talked myself into having a pint. But they, when they were doing the stream, they did it on Facebook Live. And it was brilliant because exactly what Martin was saying, people were putting comments in there, and then in between tunes he was talking to them, and that was brilliant. That was just so brilliant because he was talking back to the people, and there was a lot of people on there that he knew well, so that was brilliant. And on Saturday I attended a gig by Planet Rock. They had 3 live bands in Birmingham. So it was, to all intents and purposes, it was introduced by Planet Rock DJ. To all intents and purposes, it was a live gig. It was a live gig. The only difference was the audience was virtual. So that was £15 for tickets, which hundreds of people happily paid. And the conversation going on there, which actually really made a difference, was just in a Facebook group. It wasn't an event. It was just a post that Planet Rock had put on their Facebook page. And people were commenting on there, so that was good. That was like having the chapter, and it's obviously it's not the real thing, but it's as close as you can get, and it was brilliant. So and I think, you know, a couple of things on the payment. First of all, people have not been spending money on going out, so I think that they're happy to do it. I think that people fully appreciate that businesses are not getting that money, and they will support. There will be some that don't want to pay. Don't worry about them. There are plenty that will, and are desperate for the closest thing to a night out. So yeah, I would definitely 100% ask for money up front for performances.
And I've got an idea, Stephen. You could do a deal with Elmbridge Village so that it's being streamed to their large TV, and a whole number of them could watch it socially distanced from their you know, their community, or restaurant area or lounge area.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The other thing to think about, Stephen, as well, is just from lockdown, I think lots of companies have realised, whereas before they have focused on local, actually when things are online, you have the opportunity to reach a much bigger audience. And it's not to say that there won't be people in other towns or villages that say, actually, I'd rather support my own arts centre rather than one based in Surrey that I don't know. But equally, if it's the right event or the right opportunity to watch something, people will do, who wouldn't have done before. So it's not forgetting that broader opportunity that things being online can offer.
Is there such a thing as sort of alliances with like-minded people? I say that because I recently bought a ticket from the Arts Club of Washington, D.C., because they were putting on a concert which was actually being played and streamed from London, and they were effectively sort of intermediate marketing to the US market. And it struck me as being quite interesting. On the other hand, everyone in the world is doing it, so how do you get in there? But,
yeah, 100% affiliate marketing. So if you can find affiliates in different areas who are happy to promote it for you and take.
So, for example, when Rob Kirby and his family went from Cranleigh to Australia, we could stream our stuff to the Brisbane market, and away we go.
Yeah.
Mike Parsons, which links are you talking about in your question? Can we have the links also, please? Oh, no.
They were very, very busy today. They may have had a nap.
For the FB and Instagram business.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, smashing. Okay, so what you were going to send? Okay, then Mel, send it to Martin, and he'll send it to all of us that have been watching this. That sounds the best idea. Good thinking. Okay then, I was just commenting on how well read you are, Martin. With your busy life, I've no idea how you read all these books.
Thank you. One a week.
Seth Godin's about as far as I get to, but there we go. Okay, any questions I have missed? I think we're okay. I think it's a real opportunity for the Cranleigh Arts Centre to go global, at least to go national. I really do, and a lot of your markets will be older people who will never ever do anything online or stream. You know, really the older ones. So you're going to get new customers, I imagine. I mean, relatives, for example. Relatives of relatives of relatives. Okay then, any more questions before I wind up? We're at 7. Are we about done?
Thank you.
Well, that's a good example of a really good chat as well, isn't it? And that's value, you know, an hour out of our time, a good chat and great presentations. So thank you very much, everyone. Keep safe and see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.